After robbing a bank belonging to ghosts, Chun-Mu now has 1,000,000,000,000 ghost coins in hand. Even one ghost coin is equal to millions of human rupees. But then suddenly, a notification tells him to turn left ahead and not jump out the window, and to please pay attention to obeying the rules. He says he has already robbed a bank, so what rules is he supposed to follow? Suddenly, the people behind him shout to stop and catch him. He looks back and says, crap, they're catching up. But in his mind, he thinks he can't worry about that anymore. He just jumps out of a window right in front of him. He finally tells himself he made it. But then he suddenly sees a fist coming right at him and says what? The fist hits him really, really hard and sends him flying away. He drops down on the ground. The guy in front of him says that humans who violate the rules have only one path, death, and tells him to be a good boy and become his meal. Now he is quite scared and mutters, damn it. Then Chun-Mu continues thinking in his mind that he has struggled and scrambled for 5 years in this apocalypse where the weird descended. He has always been cautious, hiding here and there, but in the end, he was still driven to a dead end by the ghosts. However, although ghosts are terrifying, they love money just like humans do, specifically ghost coins. So to escape this dog-eat-dog life, he decided to take a risk and rob the Nether Bank using the epic tier special ring he obtained earlier. Unfortunately, while escaping, he was cornered, violated the rules, and ultimately fell short. He thinks he's not resigned to this and really can't accept it. But then suddenly, the ring in his hand starts glowing, and everything turns into a really dark area. There, he suddenly wakes up again. He wonders if he has been reborn. The others are talking. One of them says he heard that a weird scenario has already appeared in their city. The other replies that as long as you violate the rules, you'll face severe punishment, losing an arm or a leg if you're lucky, and losing your life if you're not. He wonders if a weird scenario really appeared. Could it be? Then he remembers it is December 31st, 2024. He thinks that sure enough, he has actually returned to the moment the weird apocalypse just descended. He wonders if he has to go through those days of living in fear all over again. Then he notices his hand and thinks about the special ring. He wonders if all the ghost coins from the Nether Bank are actually still inside. So that's it. It looks like in this life he can finally pull off something big. If he remembers correctly, at this time in his past life, Jiang City's first weird scenario was about to descend upon their school. Then suddenly, a notification says, attention please. The weird mission Midnight Cafeteria is about to begin. A girl gets really scared and asks what this is, seeing a notification as scary as this is something she has never experienced before. Then another voice says they have been selected to become waiters at the Midnight Cafeteria. Another tells them to arrive at the mission location before 12 o'clock. The notification repeats that the weird mission Midnight Cafeteria has begun and that they must rush to the cafeteria before midnight. As qualified waiters, being late cannot be forgiven. Another girl gets really scared and says it's a weird mission. Right? Then everybody starts running around, screaming for help and trying to escape. As everyone panics, one girl cries that she doesn't want to die yet and asks if she doesn't have to go. The guy tells her he advises her to follow the rules. Although entering a weird scenario is dangerous, there is still a glimmer of hope. If she is late, she will be erased immediately. After hearing this, the girl cries even more, but she knows she has to go. Then he thinks about the Midnight Cafeteria and says that if he remembers correctly, this cafeteria is a blue chip stock and will be very useful later. The apocalypse basically starts with buying it. Soon, another notification says midnight is approaching and late waiters will be erased. 3, 2, 1, commencing erasure. Those who fail shout no, but they are immediately erased left and right. Some who make it their sigh in relief, saying phew, that was so scary. Another girl tells Chun-Mu she's scared and that he has to protect her. However, Chin-Mu just swats her away and asks who she is, telling her not to try to latch onto him. She gets really frustrated and snaps at him. Then a voice cuts in and tells everyone to be silent. It says it is the manager of the Midnight Cafeteria and that there are 3 rules here. First, those who come to spend money are distinguished guests, and all staff must unconditionally satisfy the guests' demands, including the manager. Second, damaging cafeteria items is not allowed, otherwise you will be punished. Third, leaving the cafeteria during working hours is not allowed. Then, as the guests start arriving, she says sorry for the wait, distinguished guest. The guest snaps at her, asking what she's dawdling for and telling her to hurry up and come over. After seeing the look on the guest's face, the other girls get really scared, but the manager tells everyone to shut up. She bows and apologizes to the distinguished guest, saying she will handle it immediately. Then she tells them to take her away. As the others drag her away, the guest orders them to serve the dishes. The lady politely tells the guest to please enjoy the meal, and the guest starts eating like crazy. After seeing this, one girl just can't take it anymore. She asks what the guest is eating and says it's so disgusting. She looks like she's about to throw up. The guest then points at her and tells her to come over and wipe his mouth clean. The girl refuses and says she doesn't want to, but it doesn't look like she has much choice. The scared lady mutters, damn it. Then she walks over and asks if this is okay and starts wiping his mouth. The guest says very good and hands her a tip. After taking the money, she gets happy and asks if this is really for her. The other girls see it and whisper that those are actually ghost coins. They say they heard ghost coins are extremely precious and can even make the weird show mercy. Another says she heard a tycoon spent $1 million just to buy 10 ghost coins, and she didn't expect this ghost to casually take out 10 ghost coins as a tip. The lady then thinks about Chun-Mu and feels smug, thinking thinking it's a good thing she didn't let him have this opportunity, and that he must be dying of regret now. The guest says he's done eating and tells her to take the plate away. She immediately agrees and calls him distinguished guest again. However, as she is about to leave, she suddenly falls to the ground and the plate shatters. The distinguished guest doesn't like that at all. He mocks her for being clumsy and tells her to pay up. In reality, he was the one who stuck his leg out and tripped her on purpose. The lady angrily says he tripped her on purpose. But the manager grabs her and says that even if a customer makes things difficult, rules are rules. The lady panics and says she will pay and use the ghost coins to compensate for the plate. The manager asks if she is sure she wants to make compensation. She says she is sure. Chunmu watches and calls her foolish, saying she just gave up her last chance of survival and that it's impossible for her to leave alive. She snaps back at him, saying he's talking nonsense and that she already made compensation. The manager calmly explains that the price of one plate in this cafeteria is 20 ghost coins, and her money is not enough. The lady shouts that it's impossible, saying that money can be exchanged for 1 million outside. So how can it not buy a single plate here? The manager replies that the money humans use means nothing to them. Then the ghost asks how he should punish her now. The girl starts crying. She doesn't want to be punished, but there is nothing she can do anymore. The guest laughs for quite a while and then slowly looks over the rest of them. He says watching the expressions of human fear is truly interesting and wonders who he should choose to serve him next. The girls panic. One immediately begs him not to pick her. Another says she doesn't want to either. Then the guest looks at Chunmu and calls him kid, asking if he isn't afraid. The guest points at him and says he's the one, telling him to hurry over and help take the plate away. He adds that the 10 ghost coins are his. The lady quickly warns Chun-Mu not to go and says the guest wants to harm him. Chun-Mu tells her not to worry and says he has his ways. Then he walks up to the guest and casually asks if he's just carrying a plate, right? The ghost shows the ghost coins. Chun-Mu immediately grabs the money and swats his hand away. The plate drops to the ground and shatters. The ladies, the manager, and even the guest are completely stunned. They can't believe what just happened. Chun-Mu tells them not to waste time and says they should skip to the next step. The girl starts laughing loudly and mocks him, saying his money isn't enough to compensate either, and that he should prepare to die. The manager storms over angrily and says he damaged an item, so he must either pay up or die. Chun-Mu calmly tells her not to rush and asks her to serve him a portion of peanuts for 10 ghost coins. He says he'll eat it right there. Then he shows the ghost coin to the manager. The manager asks what he means. Chun-Mu explains that the rules state that as long as someone spends money, they are a customer of the cafeteria, and all cafeteria staff cannot refuse a customer's requests. So he chooses to become a customer and demands to refuse compensation. Even the ghost guest is quite shocked after hearing all of this. Then the manager praises him, calling him a truly clever customer, and asks for his name. Chun-Mu modestly replies that she flatters him and introduces himself as Chun-Mu. The red-haired lady panics and shouts, asking what they're doing and telling them to hurry up and take him down since he also smashed a plate. The manager calmly explains that she still doesn't understand. Mr. Chun-Mu has already used the rules to find a way to clear the stage. The red-haired lady is completely shocked and asks what. She hurriedly says she wants to spend too and become a customer as well. But the manager reminds her that she already confirmed with her earlier and that there is no second chance. The red-haired lady is totally bamboozled and asks how that could be. The manager then politely asks Mr. Chun-Mu if he has any other requests. Chun-Mu asks her to call out the boss of the cafeteria. Then he casually drops another bomb and says he wants to buy the cafeteria. The manager asks if he's joking. She admits their cafeteria's revenue has dropped recently, but to buy it would require at least several million ghost coins. Chun-Mu says of course he's not joking. As long as she helps him find the boss, this will be her tip. He then shows a huge stack of ghost coin notes. The manager stutters in shock, counting 30,000 ghost coins. Even the guest is stunned and asks how much. The red-haired lady also can't believe it's 30,000. The manager, however, is overjoyed. She thinks that amount equals 2 years of her wages and realizes he's a hidden big shot. The red-haired girl gets furious and demands to know why. If he has so much money, he didn't help her earlier. Chun-Mu stands calmly and says he's not related to her in any way, so why should he pay for her mistakes? The manager politely asks Mr. Chun-Mu to wait a moment while she goes to call the boss. Chun-Mu says no problem and that he'll wait right there. Then the manager turns to the red-haired girl and says that since she violated the rules, she must accept the punishment. Then the red-haired lady breaks down crying, saying she was wrong and begging Chun-Mu to save her because she doesn't want to be taken away. But no one is there to save her. No matter how much she begs, it's useless. The manager just laughs, grabs her by the leg, and drags her out. The guest, who was acting arrogant earlier, immediately changes his attitude. He nervously calls Chun-Mu big brother and says he hopes he won't take what happened just now to heart, claiming he drank too much. He clearly doesn't want to mess with him anymore. Chun-Mu coldly tells him to get lost. The guest hurriedly agrees, saying no problem, and runs off, saying he's getting lost right now. The remaining girls stare at Chun-Moo in disbelief. Chun-Moo calmly tells them to sit down. As they sit, one of them whispers that they're supposed to be on an extremely dangerous weird mission. Another mutters that the whole genre suddenly changed when it comes to Chun-Moo. Just then, two figures walk in. One of them carries a really dark and heavy aura. The manager immediately straightens up and calls out boss. The other girls also look over nervously. Even Chun-Moo is slightly surprised. The manager introduces him and says this is Mr. Chun-Moo. The man with the dark aura looks at Chun-Moo and asks if he's the one who wants to buy his midnight cafeteria. Although his cafeteria's revenue has declined recently, he says the scale and location are still the best. Chun-Moo replies that he is indeed very optimistic about its development prospects. In his heart, he thinks that in his past life, although the midnight cafeteria was sluggish in the early stages, it later became one of the top hotels in the weird world in one fell swoop. This time, he must intercept it in advance. The owner thinks to himself that this is great. Someone is finally taking over this mess, and he must not miss this opportunity. He tells Mr. Chun that the price he's asking is a bit expensive and wonders if he can handle it. Chun-Moo calmly tells him to name his price. The owner says 7 million ghost coins, and the cafeteria will be his. The manager is stunned and asks if the boss is being a bit shady, questioning whether their place can really sell for 7 million. She even tells him to look at Mr. Chen's expression. The owner suddenly feels uneasy and thinks he might have asked for too much. He quickly adds that if it's not suitable, they can discuss it further. Chun-Moo simply says there's no need and offers 8 million, wanting to close the deal right now. The manager is completely shocked and repeats 8 million. The owner is overjoyed and asks if Mr. Chun is joking. The manager nervously asks if he plans to keep them on. The owner thinks to himself that he was planning to run away after selling the cafeteria anyway. Who cares about these lonely souls and wild ghosts? This way, he won't even have to pay the wages he owes them. So he immediately agrees and says he will leave all the staff members to Mr. Chun. He then politely asks how long it will take for Mr. Chun to make the payment so he can prepare the contract. Chun-Moo says they'll do it today because he likes paying in cash. Then a massive stack of ghost coins is pushed onto the table right in front of them. The owner is stunned and thinks that Chun-Moo just took out 8 million like it's nothing. He hurriedly prepares the contract and says Mr. Chun is very straightforward in business. He tells him to sign it and the cafeteria will be his. Chun-Moo immediately signs. As he does, an aura begins to glow. The ghost tells him not to worry. It's the power of the rules. After signing the contract, he will officially be the boss of this cafeteria, and no one else can forcibly take it away from him, not even the former owner. Chun-Moo says he can feel it. In his heart, he thinks that this cafeteria, just like the spatial ring, has formed a connection with him. From today on, the rules of the cafeteria will be set by him. On the other side, the former owner keeps thinking about the 8 million ghost coins. He can't believe he not only sold that failing cafeteria, but also got rid of the troublesome staff without paying their wages. Meanwhile, Chun-Moo thinks that with 8 million, he has secured a weird scenario that will be worth tens of billions in the future. Both of them shake hands happily, each convinced they made a huge profit. The owner then leaves with a giant bag of ghost coins, saying there's no need to see him out, and wishing Mr. Chen a prosperous business before hurrying off. After he leaves, Chun-Moo turns to the staff manager and says that now he is the boss of the cafeteria and wants to modify the rules. The manager immediately agrees, saying no problem since he's the boss and can change them however he likes. As the clock shows 12:29, Chun-Moo announces that he stipulates this weird mission will end at 12:30. The manager agrees without hesitation. Chun-Moo then tells the girls they can go back safely now. They are overjoyed and thank him repeatedly. One says that if it weren't for him, they definitely wouldn't have been able to leave alive. Chun-Moo then tells the manager to gather all the staff because he wants to hold a meeting in 10 minutes. The manager replies, okay, boss. 10 minutes later, all the staff members are assembled. Chun-Moo introduces himself and tells them their previous boss sold both them and the cafeteria to him. From today on, he is the new person in charge. Some of the staff think to themselves that it's all the same no matter who the boss is, since they're just beasts of burden anyway. Chun-Moo then says he knows the previous boss owes them half a year's wages, but he is different. He promises to pay all their back wages and tells manager Lee to distribute them shortly. He reveals a massive pile of ghost coins. The staff's eyes light up. One excitedly points out how many ghost coins there are. Another tells him to stop shouting because he isn't blind. Someone estimates there are at least hundreds of thousands. Chun-Moo adds that as long as they continue working for him, he guarantees their wages will be paid on time every month from now on. The entire staff bursts into cheers. One says that's great. Another happily says he can finally save money to get a wife. Someone else even calls him their god. Chun-Moo quietly thinks that such a small amount of money in exchange for the staff's immense gratitude is totally worth it, and he really has to thank the previous boss for setting this up for him. As Chun-Moo leaves, all the staff see him off, telling him to take care, boss. He thinks to himself that even though taking down the midnight cafeteria gave him a boost from the power of the scenario, his current strength is only at the ghost soldier tier at best. If he encounters a higher level weird, he still won't be able to escape being taken down. He realizes he needs to get himself some life-saving equipment. As he walks further, he suddenly sees a car zoom past him. He finds it strange that there's still a taxi this late at night. He gets in and tells the driver driver to go to Wangjiang community. The driver is actually a ghost. After hearing the destination, he slams his foot on the pedal and speeds off. Inside the car, Chunmu starts thinking. Even though there are few cars at night, the speed feels a bit exaggerated. He also notices a faint smell of blood in the car. Then he spots a bloody handprint. He immediately realizes there's definitely something wrong with this taxi. As he carefully observes his surroundings, he concludes that he has stumbled into another mobile weird scenario, the Nether Taxi. In the weird apocalypse, humans have to face three major threats. The first is weird missions like the Midnight Cafeteria. The unlucky ones who are chosen must find a way to survive and complete the mission. The second is malicious ghosts disguised as ordinary people. They lure unsuspecting humans into weird scenarios. The third is even harder to guard against. You don't even realize you've entered a weird scenario, and by the time you do, it's basically too late. Fortunately, in his past life, Chunmu heard about the rules of the Nether Taxi. As long as you have enough ghost coins to pay the fare, you can leave safely. He also remembers that if you don't have money, you must jump out of the car before it accelerates to escape. If you're both stupid and poor and accidentally take the Nether Taxi, you'll just end up as food for the ghost. However, the rougher the storm, the more valuable the reward. The Nether Taxi is extremely fast and a very efficient means of transport. Plus, while passengers are inside, they are immune to harm from other ghosts. When they finally reach the destination, the ghost driver slowly turns around and tells Chunmu that the fare is 10,000 ghost coins and that he should pay up now. Chunmu says 10,000 is way too expensive. The ghost coldly replies that if he doesn't have the money, then he shouldn't blame him for getting nasty. Chunmu casually praises him, saying he can drive that fast without even using his eyes and is truly worthy of being a veteran driver. The ghost snaps at him to cut the crap and says that if he can't pay the fare, he should prepare to die. Chunmu calmly asks who said he can't pay. He then pulls out a bundle of ghost coins and tells the driver that he dares to give it, but asks if the ghost dares to take it. The ghost is immediately flustered. He didn't expect this kid to actually have 10,000 ghost coins. The rules of the Nether Taxi clearly state that as long as the passenger pays the fare, they can get off safely. Chunmu then exposes him, saying he deliberately used his body to block the taxi meter so he couldn't see the real fare and quoted a sky-high price to scare him. He was certain Chunmu wouldn't have that many ghost coins, so he could justifiably kill him. The ghost starts wondering what kind of background this kid has. The apocalypse only started a month ago, yet he knows the scenario rules like the back of his hand. Chunmu presses further and says he didn't expect the ghost to be so black-hearted. It's clearly only 10 ghost coins, yet he dared to ask for 10,000. The ghost tells him to just pay and leave and to stop the chatter. Chunmu tells him not to rush and asks if he's tempted by these ghost coins. He asks if he wants them. The ghost cautiously asks what he means. Chunmu says of course he can give them to him. He even takes out another 10,000 ghost coins and casually stacks them together, saying he'll add another 10,000. The ghost stares at the pile of 20,000 ghost coins, both wary and tempted. Chunmu then tells him that as long as he agrees to one condition, these 20,000 ghost coins are all his, and there will be more every month from now on. The ghost narrows his eyes and asks what condition. Chunmu tells him to be his exclusive driver, the kind who's on call anytime. If he performs well, there will be extra bonuses. The ghost is stunned. He thinks about how he works himself to death driving a taxi for only 3,000 a month, while this guy casually waves his hand and offers 20,000. Then Chunmu takes out even more ghost coins. Seeing that pile of money, the ghost's hesitation instantly disappears. He introduces himself as Van Chosher and agrees on the spot. From now on, he is Chunmu's exclusive driver. Chunmu tells him to sign the contract and says that starting tomorrow, he officially works for him. The ghost immediately produces a phone and a contract. He respectfully tells Boss Chun to take the phone and explains that as long as he calls, he guarantees he will appear within 5 minutes. In his heart, the ghost thinks that since Chunmu spends so lavishly, he must serve him well and absolutely cannot let this golden opportunity slip away. Chunmu nods and tells him to come pick him up at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning at a specific location. After that, Chunmu sighs. Even with the cafeteria under his control, his current strength still isn't enough to handle weird scenarios that require brute force. Then he remembers that the Mist Museum is nearby. The museum owner, Duke William, is at the Ghost General tier. He has numerous powerful subordinates at the Ghost Soldier tier. On top of that, Duke William possesses a Ghost General tier treasure called the Death Heavy Armor. After wearing it, one can be immune to most damage caused by the weird. However, obtaining that item doesn't involve completing a mission. The only way to get it is for the Duke to give it away voluntarily. Chunmu recalls from his past life that Duke William has actually been financially struggling for a long time. Although he looks glorious on the surface, he's extremely short on money. Coincidentally, ghost coins are the one thing Chunmu has in abundance. Thinking of this, he smiles and heads out. The next morning, when he steps outside, he sees the ghost driver already waiting. Chunmu remarks that he didn't expect him to be so punctual. The ghost respectfully replies that punctuality is the basic ethic of an exclusive driver. He even says Boss Chun probably hasn't had breakfast yet, so he brought some along the way. Chunmu thanks him. The ghost politely opens the door and asks him to get in, while secretly thinking that if he serves him well and keeps him happy, he won't have to worry about bonuses. bonuses at all. Chun-Moo asks Old Wang if he knows a mall where he can buy gifts for the weird. The ghost immediately guesses that with Boss Chen's status, he must be looking for a high-end mall. Chun-Moo confirms that's right and says the higher end, the better. Old Wang quickly suggests a place in the suburbs called the Depraved Mall, which specializes in luxury goods. He recommends going there first to see if there's anything suitable. Chun-Moo agrees and tells him to take him there. The driver tells him to sit tight because they're setting off, and the taxi shoots forward at high speed. Inside the car, Chun-Moo thinks that he didn't expect Old Wang's attitude to be so positive. Money really does make ghosts push the millstone. Soon, they arrive at a strange and eerie location. Chun-Moo steps out and asks if this is the place. It is indeed the Depraved Mall. Chun-Moo tells Old Wang to stay and watch the car while he goes in to shop. The driver obediently agrees. As Chun-Moo walks away, Old Wang thinks to himself that Boss Chen is truly meticulous. Once he leaves the nether taxi, he's only at the ghost soldier tier at best. If they encounter robbers, he's basically useless. But if he drives the car to rescue Boss Chen, the boss will gain the nether taxi's invincibility effect. No matter how strong the enemy is, they won't be able to harm him. The driver inwardly praises the plan as brilliant. Inside the mall, Chun-Moo immediately feels a chill. It's clearly the peak of summer outside, yet the temperature inside has dropped to freezing. He realizes this is definitely another weird scenario. As he walks deeper inside, a staff member approaches and greets him warmly, asking what he would like to buy. Chun-Moo asks if this is the Depraved Mall. The woman confirms it is. Then she coldly warns him not to think about running away. As long as he spends money here, he can leave safely. She even reaches out and grabs him, making it clear he's already inside the rules of this place. Chun-Moo calmly says that these must be the mall's rules. The lady confirms and urges him to spend quickly. Chun-Moo tells her to stop playing tricks. If he's not mistaken, even if he doesn't buy anything, he can still leave safely. She freezes and asks how he knows. Chun-Moo explains that he has seen plenty of scenarios like this before. The rule says that as long as you buy something, you can leave the mall. That's actually a misdirection. People who stumble in for the first time panic and bite the bullet, choosing a product because they want to escape as soon as possible. But in the end, they violate the rules because they don't have enough ghost coins to pay. Finally, they can only leave their lives behind. Breaking the deadlock is simple. The rule says you can leave after spending, but it never says you can't leave if you don't spend. Even if he turns around and walks out right now, there's nothing they can do to him. The lady is visibly shocked at how clearly he understands everything. She admits he is very smart and says many people have fallen into the trap of the rules. Since he has already found the path of survival, he should leave quickly. She promises she won't stop him, but Chun-Moo asks why he should leave. He says he came here to spend. The lady is stunned and asks if he's serious. Chun-Moo confirms and tells her to take him to the most high-class counter. She warns him not to seek death. The cheapest items in the mall cost over 10,000 ghost coins. She questions whether he can really afford it. Chun-Moo slowly pulls out a massive bundle of ghost coins and casually asks what she just said, claiming the wind was too loud and he didn't hear clearly. Her attitude changes instantly. She respectfully says she will take him to the 6th floor right away, since only the luxury goods there are worthy of his distinguished status. Chun-Moo nods approvingly and tells her to consider 20,000 ghost coins as a tip for entertaining him. He says he's in a hurry and tells her to lead the way. The lady carefully guides him by the shoulder and respectfully invites him upstairs. When they arrive at the 6th floor, she proudly introduces it, saying this floor gathers all the luxury brands in the ghost world, and he may choose to his heart's content. Chun-Moo slowly looks around, observing the displays one by one. Chun-Moo thinks that if he wants to move the Duke, he has to cater to his tastes. He recalls that aristocratic homes usually have wine cabinets. In his past life, one of Duke William's wishes was to collect high-end red wine. He walks up to a counter. The lady there politely asks what kind of wine he would like to buy and explains that all their products are custom-made according to Ghost's favorite tastes. In her heart, she sneers, thinking that if he can't afford it like those reckless youths before him, he will just become her dinner. Chun-Moo glances at the selection and calmly orders 100 bottles of their most expensive red wine. He adds that the packaging must be the most luxurious. The lady is stunned. Inwardly, she mocks him, thinking he must be another idiot planning to pay with human currency. She wonders how long he can keep pretending. Soon, she brings out a large number of beautifully packaged bottles and places them in front of him. She tells him everything is ready and that the total comes to 23 million. If he doesn't have the money, he can leave his head behind to offset the debt. Chun-Moo tells her not to scare him and says he can afford this small amount. He casually reveals a massive bundle of money. The lady, still smug and not even looking properly, reminds him that they only accept ghost coins. For 23 million, payment must be in ghost coins. Chun-Moo calmly asks what she thinks he is holding. When she finally opens her eyes and takes a closer look, she is completely stunned. She cannot believe it. The apocalypse has only lasted 1 month. How could he possibly have so many ghost coins? Chun-Moo asks if she has confirmed the amount. The lady nervously says that for such a huge transaction, the manager must personally be present. She asks him to wait a moment. Chun-Moo urges her to hurry because he has other matters to attend to. She rushes upstairs and reports to the manager that a customer downstairs just bought 100 bottles of of high-end red wine in a single purchase. The manager's son, Kian, who manages the depraved mall, skeptically asks if she has mistaken one of those fools waving human currency for a real client again. She insists she verified it and says that more than 20 million in ghost coins are sitting downstairs right now. When the manager personally comes down and sees the pile of ghost coins, he is shocked. He can't believe they are real. He immediately straightens his appearance, puts on an elegant smile, and apologizes for keeping Mr. Chun waiting. He politely asks how he should address him. Chun Mu replies that his surname is Chun. The manager congratulates Mr. Chun on spending over 20 million and declares him the depraved mall's first gold client. Chun Mu calmly says he knows the manager is anxious, but there's no need to rush because he hasn't finished buying yet. The manager is stunned and asks what he means by not finished buying. Chun Mu says of course he hasn't finished buying. The 100 bottles of wine are just the beginning. The manager immediately smiles and says that if he has any other needs, she can personally introduce them one by one. Chun Mu waves his hand and says there's no need for the trouble. He tells her to bring out the most expensive jewelry in the shop. The manager is stunned for a second, but quickly regains her composure and respectfully agrees. In her heart, she thinks he's simply inhumanly rich. Soon, they present several top-tier pieces. One crystal necklace worth 1 million ghost coins is among the most expensive in the mall. Chun Mu takes one look and tells them to wrap it up. He thinks that such a beautiful crystal necklace is perfect for the Duchess. He also points at several high-end watches and says he'll take those too. The manager quickly calculates and says the total comes to 5 million ghost coins. She politely asks him to rest for a moment while they package everything. As he waits, Chun Mu looks around and thinks the goods here are indeed impressive. In the future, this place will definitely become a major consumption venue for countless weirds. A bold idea crosses his mind. Why not just buy the mall as well? He calmly asks whether the person in charge is present. He wants to discuss how much it would cost to sell the entire mall to him. The manager is completely caught off guard. In her heart, she screams that she treated him as a customer, but he wants to become her boss. She apologizes and explains that their leader is currently on a business trip. She doesn't have the authority to make such a decision. When he returns, she will notify Mr. Chun immediately and asks if that's acceptable. Chun Mu nods and says that's fine. The manager then quickly adds that she can open a supreme black gold card for him. She explains that with this card, he can modify the mission rules of the depraved mall at will. It's equivalent to the authority of a scenario boss. She further promises that whenever he wishes to shop, they will clear the venue in advance to ensure his supreme consumption experience. Chun Mu thanks her and tells her to open one for him. He also requests 50 shopping cards, each loaded with 5,000 ghost coins. It's clear he has serious plans in mind. The manager and all the staff bow deeply, respectfully bidding farewell to Supreme Black Gold VIP Mr. Chun and saying they look forward to his next visit. Outside, when the driver overhears the title Supreme Black Gold, he is completely shocked. He can only guess that such a level must require spending tens of millions to achieve. The driver quickly gets out and opens the door respectfully, telling boss to please get in. Once Chun Mu is seated, the driver asks where they are heading next. Chun Mu tells him not to rush and hands him a box instead. The driver looks confused and asks what it is. Chun Mu tells him it's a gift for him and asks him to open it to see if he likes it. The ghost is stunned. When he opens the box, he gasps. Inside is a zombie Constantine watch. He immediately says this gift is too valuable and that he can't accept it. Chun Mu laughs and tells him to keep it. As long as he follows him and works hard, there will be plenty of benefits in the future. The ghost feels deeply moved. In his heart, he compares Chun Mu to his previous employers, who only exploited him and treated him like a beast of burden. Boss Chin, on the other hand, is generous and kind. He silently swears to follow Chun Mu's lead in everything from now on. Chun Mu tells him not to get too emotional and asks him to drive to the Mist Museum. The driver instantly agrees and steps on the accelerator. The nether taxi speeds off once again. As the car races through the road, Chun Mu thinks about all the preparations he has made. This time, he must secure the death-heavy armor no matter what. Soon, the driver announces that they have arrived. Chun Mu gets out and tells him to find a place nearby to rest. He will call him when he's done. The ghost driver nods and says no problem. Chun Mu walks toward the entrance of the Mist Museum. A few other people are already gathered there. One of them notices him and says another one has arrived. Another asks if he also received the mission notification. Someone else suggests that he should cooperate with them, saying that having one more person means a higher chance of survival. Chun Mu simply says he's not interested. In his heart, he thinks that betrayal and treachery are common in the apocalypse. If you team up with random people, you might not even know how you died. His indifference irritates the others. One of them mutters that the kid is a bit too arrogant. Another scoffs that he's acting cool at a time like this and says that without brothers to help him out, the only ending waiting for him is a dead end. The tension in the air thickens. Meanwhile, a frightened woman clings to a chubby man beside her and says this weird mission is too scary and that she's terrified. Her honey comforts her and says not to worry. This time, he managed to obtain extremely rare ghost coins, so they can definitely clear the mission. In his heart, though, He thinks about how he spent nearly 8 million just to get those 10 ghost coins. He's counting on them to save his life. The woman praises him sweetly, saying she knew he was the best and that she likes him so much. She begs him not to abandon her. He assures her that as long as she listens to him, once this weird mission ends, he'll divorce his wife and marry her. The atmosphere among the participants grows even more tense and complicated. After seeing the pair, Chun-Moo thinks he didn't expect that fatty to actually get his hands on ghost coins. The fatty notices Chun-Moo staring and angrily asks what he's looking at, asking if he has never seen a rich person before. Suddenly, the massive doors of the museum slowly creak open. A deep voice welcomes them to the Mist Museum and announces that they will act as guests visiting the secluded residence of Ghost General Duke William. They all step inside nervously. The voice continues, inviting them to enjoy the banquet the Duke has prepared to their heart's content. As they move further in and knock on an inner door, it opens slowly. Tall, dark figure appears. It is Ron, the Duke's butler. He calmly announces that new guests have arrived and invites them inside. The atmosphere becomes heavy and suffocating. To the others, even the butler looks terrifying. One whispers in fear, asking if that's really a ghost. Another admits it's their first time seeing one up close. The frightened woman nervously asks if he might eat them from behind while they're walking in. Her honey tries to act brave and says not to be afraid. He claims the butler is just a minion and wouldn't dare do anything to them. Ron quietly looks them over and thinks to himself that they're just like the previous batch, no manners and stingy. They're visiting Duke William, yet they don't even know to bring a gift. The butler glances at Chun-Moo and coldly asks why he's still standing outside. He says he doesn't want to waste time on someone who's about to die. Chun-Moo calmly asks if he is Duke William's butler. The butler confirms it and impatiently tells him to hurry up and wait in the hall instead of standing there like a statue. Before moving, Chun-Moo takes out a box and says he brought a small gift. The butler's expression changes slightly when he sees the exquisite packaging and the special ring box. Chun-Moo politely apologizes for intruding on his first visit and asks him to accept the small token. The butler takes it. When he opens the box and sees what's inside, his eyes widen. It's a roll ghost watch worth 300,000 ghost coins. He hesitates and says this gift should be for the Duke, not for a mere butler like him. Chun-Moo tells him it was specially prepared for him. He says the butler has loyally served the Duke for half his life, and such dedication is admirable. The butler is clearly moved. He accepts it out of respect. With a faint smile, he adds that although he is just a butler, he still holds some authority here. As long as Chun-Moo behaves as a proper guest, he can ensure he leaves the Mist Museum unscathed. Chun-Moo politely thanks him while inwardly celebrating. Spending around 100,000 ghost coins in exchange for a life-saving charm is more than worth it. The butler then casually asks whether the group that entered earlier are Chun-Moo's friends and whether they need special care. Chun-Moo immediately says he doesn't know them. The butler nods in understanding and explains that there is still some time before the Duke's banquet. To pass the time, there will be a small game. He asks everyone to move to the hall and rest. The atmosphere grows even heavier. The frightened woman clings tighter to her honey, saying she's scared and begging him not to leave her side. Her honey notices how friendly the butler is toward Chun-Moo and mutters in shock about how that kid managed to get on such good terms. The butler even personally serves Chun-Moo tea and invites him to drink. Chun-Moo calmly thanks him. The men who were mocking him earlier grow resentful. One of them says no wonder he acted so aloof. He already found a way in. Another suggests they need to rope him in. Even if he has no real skills, he could at least block a knife for them. The butler claps his hands to get everyone's attention. He announces that while the banquet is still being prepared, Lord Duke has arranged a game of hide and seek. Chun-Moo quietly mutters that it's finally here. The butler begins explaining the rules. Rule 1. The game lasts 2 hours. During this time, no one may leave the first floor area. Violators will be immediately obliterated. Rule 2. Once the game starts, security guards will act as hunters and patrol the exhibition hall. Anyone discovered by them will be executed. Rule 3. Except for the walls and the floor, all stationary objects are the Duke's exhibits. Anyone who dares to move or touch them will face the Duke's punishment. He wishes them good luck as the timer begins. The temperature in the hall drops sharply. The frightened woman trembles and asks why it suddenly got so cold, wondering if a ghost is about to appear. Her honey tells her not to panic and suggests they find a place to hide. One of the other participants realizes the problem and asks if not being allowed to touch exhibits means they can't even hide inside furniture. One of the men curses under his breath, saying those bastards clearly don't want them to live. Chun-Moo calmly thinks that the path to survival must be hidden within the rules. Since he has a death exemption medallion, he might as well use this opportunity to sharpen his ability to find loopholes. He slowly observes his surroundings. The air grows heavier and colder. Strange figures begin patrolling the exhibition hall. The frightened woman suddenly screams that there's a ghost. Her honey instantly slaps her and hisses at her to shut up. He scolds her for yelling so loudly and asks if she wants to be discovered. One of the weird hunters hears the noise and slowly approaches their direction, scanning the area. The woman trembles and silently desperately begs not to be found. But it's too late. The hunter suddenly locks onto them and shouts that he found outsiders. The honey panics and screams. Without hesitation, he shoves the woman toward the hunter and tells her to hold it off for him. She cries and begs him not to leave her behind, but he's already sprinting away. A moment later, she realizes the ghost didn't immediately kill her. Elsewhere, more hunters corner the other participants. One of the men shouts that it's over because they've been spotted. Another quickly whispers a plan, saying one of them should stall the ghost while he circles around for a sneak attack. The first man agrees. He bravely rushes forward, grabs the ghost's hands, and shouts for his friend to hit it from behind with a stick. But the ghost coldly informs him that his partner ran away a long time ago. The man screams Jiao Xiang's name, accusing him of betrayal. In the distance, Jiao Xiang is already fleeing, muttering that he survived this long by being ungrateful and selling out his brothers. Back near the center of the hall, Chunmu keeps analyzing. Exhibits cannot be touched. Objects that cannot move are protected. Suddenly, it clicks. The path to survival is hidden within that rule. He glances at a nearby hunter approaching him. The ghost points at him and declares that he's found him, telling him to stop struggling and die quietly. Chunmu calmly gestures for the ghost to come closer. The hunter warns him that if he doesn't run, he will kill him. Chunmu just laughs. He tells the ghost that if it dares to touch him, it will be the one that dies. The ghost scoffs and asks what nonsense Chunmu is talking about. It questions how it could possibly die just by touching him. Even so, it hesitates. Chunmu calmly reminds it that the rules clearly stated that anyone who touches an exhibit will be executed. He then adds that all unmoving objects count as exhibits. So as long as he doesn't move, he is effectively an exhibit. He asks the ghost whether it still dares to touch him. The hunter freezes. It suddenly realizes he figured out the loophole in such a short time. If it touches him and triggers the Duke's punishment, it won't just fail its quota. It might be obliterated. Cursing under its breath, it decides not to risk it and turns away to hunt easier prey. Chunmu exhales softly and thinks he guessed correctly. Just then, a hand gently taps his shoulder. He stiffens for a split second. A polite voice informs him that his tea is ready. Chunmu nearly jumps, thinking for a moment that his judgment was wrong. The servant explains that it's cold and damp in the exhibition hall. Lord Butler was worried he might feel chilly, so he specifically sent a cup of hot tea to warm him up. Chunmu nods, accepts the cup, and asks the servant to thank Lord Butler for him. The servant adds that Lord Butler also instructed that if he gets bored, he may quit the game at any time. Across the hall, the frightened woman watches everything in disbelief. She didn't expect that aloof kid to be so formidable. In her heart, she thinks that if she can latch onto him, she'll definitely make it out alive. Without hesitation, she rushes toward Chunmu and clings to him, calling him handsome and saying she's scared, begging him to protect her. Chunmu tells her that instead of sucking up to him, she should go find that fat guy. The woman pleads with him not to be so heartless and says she can do anything. Chunmu coldly advises her to hurry and find a safe corner to hide in. He says he doesn't want his clothes splattered with her blood. As they argue, another participant watches from afar. He thinks bitterly that he had to risk his life and betray his own brother just to barely survive. Yet this guy can stand there leisurely while a woman throws herself at him. Jealousy twists inside him. He walks over with a fake smile and calls Chunmu brother. He says he can see he's quite capable and suggests the two of them team up. He claims he's the type who values loyalty the most. Chunmu casually suggests that he should team up with the woman instead so they can keep each other warm. The man turns to the woman and says that since Chunmu looks down on them, she should come with him. Even if the sky falls, he'll hold it up for her. The woman hesitates. She's frustrated that Chunmu seems determined not to help her. In the end, she decides to trust the other man this one time. Just then, the atmosphere grows colder again. Heavy footsteps echo through the hall. Someone whispers that it's not good. The security guards are coming. The man quickly tells her to follow him. They both run off in panic. Watching them leave, Chunmu shakes his head inwardly. The woman was already betrayed once, yet she still trusts others so easily. The hall becomes quiet around him. Elsewhere, the butler admires the watch Chunmu gifted him. He runs his fingers over it, praising the workmanship and materials. Truly is a luxury item. Another subordinate approaches and reports that the tea has been delivered. The butler asks whether the security guards have been instructed. He reminds him that Mr. Chun wants him to go easy during the game and that they cannot allow those fools to hurt him. The subordinate reports that Mr. Chun has already found the path to survival. The butler is stunned. The game has only just begun, yet he already discovered the shortcut to clearing the stage. He realizes Mr. Chun is far wiser than he initially thought. In his heart, the butler reflects that he originally assumed Mr. Chen's generosity was simply to buy protection and secure his life. But since Mr. Chun is both courageous and resourceful, there is no need to worry about him surviving such a low-level game at all. The butler reflects that he judged a gentleman's belly with a petty man's heart. He decides he must properly befriend Mr. Chun. He immediately orders his subordinate to serve Mr. Chun a fruit platter and bring him a chair. Then he changes his mind and tells him to move the sofa he's sitting on over to Mr. Chun directly. The subordinate hurries off to carry out the order. Back in the first floor exhibition hall, the fruit platter is delivered. Chun-Mu calmly asks how much time remains before the game ends. The servant replies that there are 10 minutes left. Chun-Mu narrows his eyes. He knows this is the most insidious moment. The ghosts always take advantage of the time when players feel most relaxed, striking down those who think they've already escaped death. Nearby, one ghost reminds another not to touch the distinguished guest designated by Lord Butler. If Mr. Chun gets hurt, they might as well pack up and leave. The other ghost grumbles and says they should hurry and find the remaining players because his performance quota hasn't been met yet. Suddenly, a voice echoes from the speakers, announcing that 10 minutes remain until the game ends. Elsewhere in the hall, the man who betrayed others corners the frightened woman. He smirks and tells her that he protected her for so long, and now that only 10 minutes remain, it's time she lets him have some fun. She flatters him, calling him the most reliable and manly. He boasts that none of the others can compare to him. She coyly asks him to be gentle. He agrees with a grin. Then she suddenly screams that something is behind him. He turns in confusion. A hunter stands there and declares that he has found them. Both of them panic instantly. The man shouts for her to help hold the ghost off. She curses him for abandoning her and falls to her knees, begging the ghost not to kill her. She offers to do anything. The ghost coldly replies that it only needs her life and grabs her. Time ticks down. A few minutes later, the surviving participants gather again near the center. One of the men sighs in relief and says the game is finally over. The fat man, who earlier boasted about his ghost coins, feels resentful. He thinks about how they were risking their lives to escape while Chun-Mu sat comfortably drinking tea. Another participant bitterly wonders why they are all here to survive the weird mission, yet Chun-Mu gets to be so at ease. Chun-Mu, however, thinks that a 50% survival rate is actually normal in this kind of scenario. The butler appears and announces that the hide-and-seek game has ended. He politely asks whether everyone enjoyed themselves. The atmosphere remains tense and heavy. The butler then informs them that Lord Duke has prepared a dinner banquet and invites them to follow him to the second floor. Chun-Mu is thinking the exact same thing. This is the key stage. As long as he raises the Duke's favorability high enough, securing the death-heavy armor will no longer be a problem. Soon, they arrive at the banquet hall. The butler announces that there are only 2 rules for the dinner. First, they must absolutely not behave rudely toward Duke William or Madame Emily. Second, they must finish all the food assigned to them by Duke William. Otherwise, there will be punishment. The butler then announces that Mr. Chen's seat is to the right of Duke William. Chun-Mu politely thanks him. Everyone else sits down nervously, their hearts pounding. The butler declares that since everyone is seated, the dinner will now formally begin. The grand doors open. Duke William enters with Madame Emily at his side. They take their seats at the head of the table. With a light flick of his hand, the Duke orders the servants to serve food to the distinguished guests. Dishes are brought out one after another. However, the food looks grotesque and smells even worse. One young man mutters that this isn't something humans can eat at all. Even the fat honey struggles to endure the stench. He wonders what the hell this stuff even is. The Duke smiles faintly and says that to show his sincerity, he will personally distribute the dishes. Before he can proceed, Chun-Mu stands up slightly and apologizes for the intrusion. He says he has prepared a small gift and would like to present it before dinner begins. The Duke is mildly surprised. He thinks that among so many people, there is finally one sensible guest. As the gift is brought forward, he notices the special ring box and grows curious. 2 boxes are placed in front of the Duke and Madame Emily. Chun-Mu respectfully invites Duke William and Madame Emily to open them. At first glance, the boxes look ordinary. The Duke assumes it won't be anything valuable and internally criticizes humans for lacking tact. But the moment he opens the box, a radiant glow shines out. He is stunned. Inside lies the limited edition Zombie Danton watch. Madame Emily opens hers and gasps in delight. It's the crystal necklace from the depraved mall, the very one she couldn't bear to buy for herself. Chun-Mu humbly asks the Duke and Madame to do him the honor of accepting these small gifts. The Duke, now visibly pleased, says Mr. Chun is too polite. He then turns to Madame Emily and asks her to personally distribute Mr. Chen's portion of food. Chun-Mu respectfully thanks her for the trouble. Madame Emily immediately brightens and tells the servants to serve Mr. Chun the fruitcake. The honey guy is dumbfounded. He can't believe this trick works like that. Chun-Mu calmly thanks them for the hospitality. The Duke replies that as long as Mr. Chun is satisfied, that is what matters. The honey guy starts thinking fast. If Chun-Mu can win favor by giving gifts, then he can do the same with ghost coins. In his mind, ghost coins are surely more precious than whatever that brat brought. Confident, he stands up and says he also prepared gifts for Duke William and Madame Emily. The Duke allows him to bring them forward. To everyone's horror, the man pulls ghost coins out from his dirty, smelly socks and presents them with both hands. The Duke's expression darkens instantly. He angrily accuses him of humiliating him and orders someone to drag him away. The man cries desperately, insisting ghost coins are more precious than what Chun-Mu offered. The Duke coldly states that the watch Mr. Chun gave is worth 1 million ghost coins. Trash like him isn't even fit to shine his shoes. As guards drag the man away, the Duke privately wonders how Chunmu has so much money. Nearby, Jiao secretly calculates that Chunmu must be a tycoon. If he can rob him after they leave this instance, he could live freely in the apocalypse. The Duke apologizes to Chunmu for the disturbance and suggests continuing dinner. Chunmu politely says it's no problem. Madam Emily casually asks whether that man was Chunmu's friend and whether she should look after him. Chunmu immediately clarifies that he doesn't know him. The Duke nods in understanding and reminds everyone to finish their assigned food. Jiao sits there resentfully, thinking Chunmu could have saved him with a single word but chose not to. He vows revenge once they leave the scenario. He forces himself to eat the heavy, revolting food while Chunmu chats calmly with the Duke and Madam. Eventually, the butler announces that the mission has ended and the surviving guests may leave. Chunmu stands and thanks Duke William and Madam Emily for their warm hospitality. As he prepares to leave, the Duke quietly mentions that the man earlier seemed hostile toward him. He offers to arrange for someone to dispose of him. Chunmu thanks the Duke for his kindness but says there's no need. His subordinates are already waiting outside to handle it. The Duke is surprised. He didn't expect Mr. Chun to already have subordinates. Inwardly, he decides it's time to deepen this relationship. He tells Chunmu that he possesses a ghost general tier treasure and would like his help in appraising it. He wonders whether Mr. Chun has the time. Chunmu replies that being able to see a ghost general tier treasure would be his honor. In his heart, he thinks he has waited long enough. The Duke has finally taken the bait. The Duke then invites Mr. Chun to follow him. Outside the Mist Museum Manor Gate, Zao waits impatiently. He frowns, wondering why the doors are still closed and why he hasn't seen that brat come out yet. Suddenly, his stomach twists painfully. He curses under his breath, saying his stomach hurts so badly that he'd better go buy some medicine first. Just then, he notices a car parked nearby. He laughs and says luck really is on his side. In a place like this, there's actually a taxi. He quickly gets in and tells the driver to take him to the nearest hospital and drive fast. The driver calmly replies that he understands. While clutching his stomach, Zao grits his teeth and mutters that once he takes his medicine, he'll come back and slaughter that brat. The driver slowly turns his head and asks if the person he wants to slaughter is Mr. Chun. Zao freezes. He stammers that the driver is a ghost. The driver's expression turns cold. He says he only wants to confirm one thing and asks him again to answer the question. Desperate, Zao blurts out that there must be some mistake. Mr. Chun has a lot of ghost coins. As long as the driver doesn't kill him after robbing Chinmu, they can split the ghost coins. The driver's face darkens. He asks if Zao truly intends to make a move against his boss and whether he thinks he would let him off. Without hesitation, the driver slams his foot on the accelerator. Zao panics. He suddenly realizes that Brat actually hired a ghost as his bodyguard. He desperately tries to open the car door and shouts that he wants to get off. The driver's eyes glow faintly. A cold voice echoes that he provoked someone he shouldn't have and should be more careful in his next life. Moments later, Zao's screams fade into silence. Back inside Duke William's study, the Duke politely invites Mr. Chun in. Chunmu immediately notices the large wine cabinet on the wall is completely empty. He smiles inwardly. It seems his guess was correct. He casually remarks that surely Lord Duke is also a lover of wine. It's a pity for such a grand wine cabinet to remain empty. The Duke sighs and explains that although he was once titled Duke for his meritorious service in the Ghost World War, he has long since fallen into decline. Chunmu nods respectfully and says he admires the Duke's character. As a small token of respect, he specially prepared some red wine in advance. With a wave of his hand, bottles of exquisite red wine are presented and carefully arranged into the cabinet. The once empty shelves are quickly filled. The Duke stares in disbelief. He lifts a bottle, inhales the aroma, and exclaims that it is truly good wine, excellent wine. The Duke holds the wine bottle with trembling hands. In his heart, he can't believe that a famous wine worth millions of ghost coins was given to him purely out of respect for his character. His eyes grow moist. He declares that he is determined to make friends with Mr. Chun today. He says he also has a gift and asks Mr. Chun to wait a moment. Chunmu immediately realizes the timing is perfect. The favorability has reached its peak. Soon, the Duke brings out a set of golden armor. The moment Chunmu lays eyes on it, he can feel the dense and powerful ghost aura emanating from it. The Duke explains that this armor is a treasure he collected over half his life. It once accompanied him through life and death on the battlefield. It is Ghost King tier. As long as one wears it, they can be immune to all damage from anything below Ghost King tier. More importantly, it can also override the power of rules once per month. The cooldown period is 1 month. Chunmu carefully confirms whether that means that even if he violates the rules inside a weird scenario, he can be exempt from punishment while wearing it. The Duke nods and says that is correct. He adds that Mr. Chun has given him so many generous gifts, and he has nothing else worthy to repay him with. He insists that Chunmu accept this armor as a return gift. The moment Chunmu takes it, he can clearly feel a powerful ghost aura enveloping and protecting his body. However, he does not immediately accept it for free. He respectfully says the armor is far too precious to take without compensation. He then places 10 million ghost coins in front of the Duke and says to consider it a purchase. The Duke is stunned speechless at the sight of 10 1 million ghost coins. In his heart, he admires Chun-Mu even more. Not greedy for petty gains and unwilling to let a friend suffer losses, Mr. Chun truly has noble character. Moved, the Duke takes out a personal token and gives it to Chun-Mu as a symbol of their friendship. He says that if Mr. Chun ever encounters danger, he can use this token to summon him, and he will immediately appear at his side. Chun-Mu accepts the token, realizing this is an unexpected bonus. With both the Ghost King tier armor and the Duke's summoning token, his safety has increased dramatically. He thinks that if he ever encounters a situation that can't be resolved with ghost coins, he can simply summon the Duke to handle it. Then Chun-Mu frankly says he plans to purchase a few more weird scenarios to stabilize his assets, but he doesn't know where to begin. He respectfully asks whether Lord Duke has any brilliant suggestions.